The last few months, my team released 3 Android applications and a Microsoft Windows 10 application. Before that, I added significant features with the web application. About time to do a typical in-person release, typical in the software industry. Show how everything works, get some feedback, but given the current restrictions, it's not going to happen. So instead of doing a video release, I want to concentrate on the main features here. Earlier this year, I released a book, which is a good resource for understanding the inspiration, concepts, and future vision of the application. Here's a very brief introduction to how the system works. Learning and job labels are a standard representation of learning expectations and job requirements. Connect them together, develop learning pathways and dashboards. The subtle difference between the two pathways are a direct linkage of elements, and dashboards are a more fluent, responsive grid. But they work together. The general hierarchy of the learning label system are jobs at the top, courses represent a syllabus in the application, project lesson plans, and then tasks and experiences at the bottom. There's also users mixed in there, the learners and the workers. Jobs and tasks are represented as job labels and learning labels, respectively. All the elements appear as tiles. All but the users include a full web page showing all the supporting information. All include definitions and skills and skill points. The target areas of the application, people who might use this, include standard education, higher education, training, curriculum designers, workforce developers, publishers, and creators of learning resources, and any other areas for learning practitioners. Let's start to see how this works. The standard web application I've been working on for 4 or 5 years now, so it's pretty substantive. There's a quick sign up process. Currently, the subscriptions are waived. Creating an account is free. Use and download of the apps are free and do not require a login, though full usage requires a valid admin account. Once you register, you're guided to create your first learning label. This is the crux of the application, a way to define a single unit of learning on a task experience level. It is layered and deep. To help along the process, shorten the path in creating a learning label, there's a skills parser. This reads a block of content and produces a suggestive ranked list of skills. The example shows this could be a website URL or copied and paste text or a actual Word, PDF, TXT file. And there's plenty of advancements with this parser. So keep checking us and give us updates. For example, let us know what website URLs you want to parse for your labels. The learning labels are not only meant to define the expectations, but also provide a full ROI with time and cost and investment. The premise is to give learners and practitioners all the information they need to make a basis comparison decision of resources. Furthermore, the data gets aggregated along with pathways to quantify the results. There are ways to add requirements and prerequisite icons to the learning labels. This defines what is needed to consume the resource, like a platform, computer, or internet connection, or for the prerequisites, what is needed to prepare. And this could be simply a reference to another learning label. The skill section is where the defining process begins. This is where a practitioner defines up to 10 skills and allots frequency, intensity, and difficulty in applying the skills, all verifiable in a peer review process, which we'll talk about later. On a skill by skill basis, an algorithm calculates skill points and next generation learning measurement, also marked for future advancement. Furthermore, there's a deep integration with learning and training standards. This is meant to anchor the expectations. Essentially, it currently supports a few national standards, and there's functionality to add your own custom set of standards, and we, on request, could add standards that you might need. The interface also includes an autocomplete to reference the standards and searching on standards and adding them to the labels as a one-to-one or one-to-many reference. A search is also built into the application to search on any set of terms, jobs, fields, disciplines, degrees, personality traits, and returns a list of skills to help quickly add them onto the labels. In the bottom part of the skills section, there's even further layering. There's a functionality to create and assign assessments, which are called quizzes in the application with auto grading and graphical badges to collect upon completion. The whole application, creating the learning labels and job labels are what take the most time. And this is where I get the, are we going to do this? So the use of the skills parser and default values, referencing standards, using a search greatly speeds up the process. In all the UI testing, the process took no longer than a minute or two to create a label. And there are a few caveats too that are worth thinking about. I mean, a learning label is universal. So one Label represents a task or experience no matter who produces the label. And there's functionality to actually clone the labels where practitioners share a label and they still get all the functionality to use the label. There's an API where you can use an API as well. And that's a way you can reference the labels and create the labels in code. You can bulk create the labels, and we have a basic design set up, and it takes a single upload of a CSV file and creates a whole series of labels all at once. And again, we're trying to boost the skills parser, and I think future advancements with the parser might be able to add more fields on the label as far as reading the content. And finally, it's a bottom-up process. You're going to spend all your time creating these labels, but the data and everything gets aggregated over the all the parents and pathways and all that. So it's kind of a worthwhile investment. There are a number of ways to use the learning labels once they're created. I think that's a big value prop of the application. You can put labels into a series. So in a class, your students might have different skill levels. You create a single label and then connect them together in a series based on performance, up to 10 different outcomes per label, and let the students navigate through the series based on their performance. In onboarding, you can put a new worker through a series of labels to assess their current skills and identify what's next in their training modules. There's grading, so you can actually grade users after they complete the tasks, and this will signify completion, what's next in the series, and give them a badge if that was designated. There's a public landing page, and this is where you can access all the different views of the labels. So you have the labels themselves, which kind of look like nutritional labels. Then you have maps, which is a graphical interface, which the peer review process is built on. And there's flashcards to actually prep learners for an experience. The number one suggestion I get with the learning labels is to verify their accuracy. So do a peer review process to accomplish this. So you can access the peer review under the graphical map from the landing page, and a reviewer checks each time the frequency, intensity, and difficulty of a skill, and also checks the standard and can leave a comment. From the landing page, there's also links to download and share the representation of the file in different file formats. You can share it in social media, email, you can get a QR code. You can one-click import the learning label into Google Classroom. You can embed it on a website. There's standards, so there's a section to actually create a set of standards, either one at a time or upload the full CSV file. If you have the copyright privileges, you can upload a recognized education or training standard, or you can, with a group of practitioners, create your own set of standards and align them to skills. Quizzes, there's ways to do assessments before, during, or after a task in a learning label. The interface auto grades and suggests what's next after completing the quizzes. There's an interactive dashboard, and this is when we start to talk about the pathways in the dashboards. There's a pure dashboard and a structured dashboard. The structured dashboard allows the user to choose columns and rows, and it's structured. The pure dashboard puts out all the elements in any order, and the user can work with them and change the sort orders actually. And all this is controlled by the practitioner. The interface is fast and functional. It's optional. So, for example, not everybody's going to use all the elements. A teacher or professor is only going to use the syllabus and projects, labels, and users maybe. A curriculum designer or trainer might just use the jobs and syllabi. And what's nice is a collaborative effort you could actually share among each other. So teachers and professors can work on the lower level elements, and then somebody in their curriculum design department could just use the higher elements. So there's a lot of interactivity here and a lot of choice. That's why there's so many different uses for the learning labels. It's smart, intuitive. You can change sort orders. You can make assignments on the dashboard. Just drag one element onto its parent. You can with the web application, it's kind of cool. You make the changes and in real time changes, and it flickers like a stock price. Accessing, modifying, creating these learning dashboards are meant to set up a learning environment where you can react and respond to what transpires in an experience or a task. There'll be more on this in the web applications. The elements, the pathways are elements connected together. And as they collect, they appear as skill aggregates on a skill by skill basis. The linkages are not meant to be loosely connected and are less stringent and static than standard curriculum or degree, though if that's a requirement, you could have it that way. But I think that's kind of solves the solution these pathways because they're meant to be fluent and responsive to the changing demands for workers. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to prepare learners for future jobs and work. So new skills are getting added so quickly, and some are becoming obsolete. These pathways are very responsive. The jobs interface, job labels, is another substantive part of the application, the system, top level. There's full functionality to manage and create jobs, um, similarly built as a learning labels interface. There's also a skills parser as you start to create the label. Similar idea here, a job poster might reference a resume file or an online description instead. Um, Job labels are also meant to provide an ROI decision for the job seeker, so includes all the compensation and all that. And there's more composition fields to, with rich text editor. There's a skill section, up to 20 different skills get added. There's a big separation between past experience and first year application of the skill. And there's a similar interface to reference the standards. There's a search interface to help, find skills for the job. There's a syllabus interface, and here uh, it's another element in the chain. The creating syllabus is actually on different websites, www.skillssyllabus.com, though you can create a shortened version from the skills label interface. Includes all standard fields of syllabus, many of them with a rich text editor, along with a section for working with learning labels assigned to the syllabus. Each syllabus is printable as a PDF. So, that's what I think teachers and students expect, is to have an actual document for the syllabus. The interface supports personalized learning in three ways: by creating the series, which we talked about earlier, and letting learners choose 5 to 10 tasks, and specifically assigning tasks to learners directly. There's a projects interface. This is the least built of the on the application so far, though it does give a web page with all the labels and so forth for to support that element. Finally, there's a search. And this is a strong feature of the learning and job legal system. Um, the design of the labels is highly data centric, meaning you can really read, it really reads well by, computer and algorithms and all that. It's not like a graphic or encrypted data. Um, and there's already an algorithm in place to kind of create these context and skills based searches. One strong feature is functionality to actually sort the order of skills appearing on the labels based on the collection of the search result. The results of the dashboard appear, or the search appear in the interactive dashboard that we manage the labels we talked about before. So it's very easy to toggle between the tiles, labels, and credentials and put them into place to make the basis of comparison decision. Perfect for a search engine result. And this was the big influence in the design of the labels. The best way to express expectations and a way to make comparisons. At this stage, it's not possible to see an effective search because there's simply not enough labels in the system. But this is clearly a big incentive to start stocking the database with these labels. Android apps. There are now 3 Android applications for the learning labels technology. So many devices run Google Android. Creating native Android apps was a good way to give more access to learning practitioners on the go. The apps are designed and tested for smartphones, tablets, and Chromebooks. A lot of attention is put on the layout and usage for smartphones. This is the primary reason, I think, to keep the 3 apps separate, the smaller screen size, though there's functionality to move between the apps. There's future interaction for the Google Android is probably to get the labels on watches. Imagine toggling through a series of labels as tiles on a watch, then choosing what to appear on a mobile device. Also look to get future integration with the apps in Google Classroom. The website application already does this, and it's a single one-click integration. So try to do something similar with the mobile apps. The first step is the Learning Labels Create, and this allows for login admin user to create any one of the elements. The design is for a mobile touch-enabled device, so limited typing and layering. It's probably the fastest way to create the labels. And once you create the labels, they appear as elements in the data set, so they can be later modified from the website application if necessary. The Learning Labels dashboard. This provides a version of the pure dashboard from the web application. Includes all saved features, works fast in the native Android grid, works well not only on smartphones but also tablets and Chromebooks. Value prop is to modify learning pathways and dashboards when the inspiration hits. A teacher, before, during, or after class, might think to assign a task to a student or group of students based on the experience. A trainer might modify a training module, or a job poster might modify a job requirement. Simply drag items to make the assignments or set up different sort orders. Learning Labels page. This is an informative page application to show the different elements, dashboards, and pathways. The tiles are large and legible and show the skill definitions and aggregates. Navigating through the sections and elements by swiping. Show pathways by marking them in color based on their source. The value prop is to actually change the learning pathways. It's easy to add elements to the pathways without even closing a window and navigating through the series. Kind of got to see it for yourself. But also seeing the skills and skill aggregates in a table summarizing the pathways is also useful. The Windows 10 application. Windows 10 application combines the three Android applications into a single interface. The advantage is sharing the same login and loading across the apps. This is good because the target audience for the applications are the desktop and tablet users running Windows 10. This works on smaller devices too. Let's see how the application works. Same design and layout is shown in the Google Android apps. The dashboard's crisp and effective on a large screen, quick and effortless to make changes to a pathway. Starting with an empty dashboard and add elements is fast. Toggle between the apps by clicking on the nav button in the lower left corner. In the Learning Labels page part, the pathway data grid is effective in showing the skills and aggregates on the pathway, and it actually looks really well on a large screen. A huge value prop is, giving learning practitioners access to their learning elements, pathways, and dashboards, through Windows 10. Most of us are running a desktop or tablet running this operating system. The apps are fast, probably faster than the web browser, and there are many ways for a richer, deeper development, such as remembering logins and working with different applications. I think a learning labels might be a great way to summarize the learning taking place in Xbox games, actually. So it might be worth exploring access on Xbox too. Finally, the mobile website applications. Uh, all the mobile applications I just talked about with the Android and Windows 10 were originally built for a mobile optimized browser. And so if you cannot access an Android or Windows 10 device, simply access the apps in a standard browser from the device you're using. For example, Apple for now. Um, Much of the design and plan functionality of the mobile apps, derive from building these mobile first web applications. And I think new features and concepts will probably appear first on these mobile web applications. Um, and one function that's on the paged application in this web application that's not yet in the mobile applications is a peer review process for the skills map on a tablet device. So interestingly, I mean, a practitioner might review a resource from a tablet, which is probably pretty reasonable, and can tap on the screen to record and agree to the expectations represented on the learning labels. So this is my big release. This is all the work I've been doing, for the past half year to year with the mobile interfaces and the dashboard for the last couple of years. This has been a long time since I, thought of doing this kind of release event or whatever whatever we can call us in the situation we're in. But it's my way of kind of getting out there how this system works, I'd love to show more use cases. I love to, answer questions and feedback. And I invite you to contact me at ryan@skillslabel.com.